Okay, hello everyone. Today is Sunday, February the 19th, and we will be continuing in our study of A Science of Mind. Sakina, would you like to go ahead and take it away?
Okay, let's just become still for a few minutes and let go of whatever we were doing previously to this time. And just open our hearts and our minds to what the divine has for us. Take a few deep breaths. And be open and receptive to also share what comes through you. For each of you is a divine being filled with the love and light of the source. We give thanks that we are able to come together and to share. We let it be so, and so it is.
And so it is.
Well, it's good to see everybody and hear everybody. And last time we left off, I think, with the section entitled No Personal Responsibility. And if I'm incorrect, somebody else can tell me.
I have marked that that's where we're supposed to start today.
Okay, good. Okay. No matter how great a responsibility may rest in that which must be done, never let 1 minute responsibility rest in your own thought about it, because that to which the mind gives birth is, and every idea is, bound to produce an effect exactly like its cause. When we make a demonstration, we must take what goes with it. Therefore, all demonstration should be made in peace, confidence, and joy, and in the realization of divine love and perfection as permeating everything. The reason for this is evident, for we are dealing with the law of cause and effect. We are not depending upon chance, but upon law. We must know that we are dealing with the substance from which all things are made. People, brains, monkeys, everything that is. Nothing moves but mind. And we are dealing with the mind that is the mover, the creator, the cause of all that is or is to be. Helping an inventor. Suppose an inventor came to you and said, I am trying to perfect a piece of machinery and have not been able to work out the right plan. You sit with him for treatment. That is, you concentrate in mind in order to produce the desired idea through him. You know that all ideas come from mind and that mind is always unfolding its ideas through man. You say, John Smith is an inventor. A certain idea is trying to operate through him, and there is nothing in him that can obstruct this idea. Then state that this idea is known in mind and is now flowing through him. If you do this, thinking clearly, new ideas will begin to operate through him, and he will discover the thing he needs. Any comment on those two sections? Next section is entitled.
You're muted.
I'm sorry.
Mhm.
Two things kind of stuck out with me. Every idea is bound to produce an effect exactly like its cause, and all ideas come from mind. And isn't this what we've been emphasizing, I guess is the best word I can think of right now, in all of the sessions that we have, that whatever good, it starts in the mind, and in order for it to manifest, it has to start in the mind. I mean, to me, it's pretty obvious. To me, that is.
Yeah, I agree. I think that's what we have been doing, and we've been becoming more and more aware of how our thoughts can become manifested in our daily lives, and to begin to monitor our thoughts more so that we're manifesting more positive things in our life and experiencing more positive things happening to us. Anyone else? Okay, you said you had another thought?
You're back on mute again. You're muted
No.
again.
I just realized that. No, those, I kind of combined the two.
Oh, okay. Okay, anyone else?
So what was your first thought again, Harriet? What was the first
The
one?
first one that stuck out, every idea is bound to produce an effect exactly like its cause.
Oh, okay. Mhm.
And the second one, I'm sorry, all ideas come from mind.
Mhm.
Yep.
So that's just the thing. What going back by your first one, like with cause and effect. I think that's where, where I think a lot of us don't necessarily know how to manage it from the beginning. We will do something, and we expect a different effect. But we don't understand, we might not necessarily understand that, if I do the same thing that has gotten me in trouble time and time and time again, and then this time I think because I did it again, that I'm going to have a different effect, that, there's going to become something different, or it's going to show something different. I think that's usually what happens in life, is that, we will do one thing expecting the effect to be better than, or different than, or, somehow, I don't know, somehow
Have
different
a more
than-
positive twist than it
Yeah,
did the last
yeah.
time.
Yeah, and I think that happens throughout everybody's life. And I think maybe this is why we have the world that we have now. I'm not saying that the world is bad, because it really is not. There's some things that we might not be, able to enjoy, but life itself really pretty much is, we still can breathe air, we still can drink water, we still can, move about, so there's, but I think that if we think, so let me ask a question. If we think negatively, then that's the thing that we see. We see negativity everywhere we look, because we think that way.
Right, I think so. I agree with that. If we see, in other words, if we see the world as a beautiful place, and that, for example, I see the world as heaven on earth, and it's becoming more and more that. I don't see heaven as some far off place. I see heaven as a state of consciousness. So if I see the world as a beautiful place, the world, it appears to me as a beautiful place because I see it that way. So I attract that beauty to me. I acknowledge that there is some negativity there, but it doesn't affect me the same way it would if I had negative ideas. If, in other words, if I thought that, if I thought someone was out to get me, and I kept that thought in mind, well, eventually somebody is going to get me. On the other hand, if I see that I'm divinely protected no matter where I go, then I don't fear going places. Does that make any sense?
Yes.
Mhm.
You know, so it's how we see things. And before we actually see it, it's in our mind before it actually becomes into view. And I don't mean necessarily into physical view. We also see with our eyes the internal view. And internally, you can see it could be a cloudy, gloomy, rainy day. And yet, if you're seeing it as the earth needs that rain, you know, the earth needs what's happening in the weather. If I see it that way, even though the weather may be not, you know, I'm not able to go out and play in it, or, you know, because it's raining, pouring down really, really hard. But if I see it that the earth needs it, then I see the rain as something positive. I see what's happening as something positive.
I have a friend that used to refer to the rain as liquid sunshine.
Yeah. And
Liquid
also, you know,
sunshine.
yeah, because the earth needs it. Otherwise, we
Are
wouldn't
you,
have the green grass. You know, we wouldn't have the water to drink.
Mhm.
You know,
are you
I've
saying,
heard that.
Well,
Liquid
is this
sunshine.
study?
I agree.
Okay,
I definitely agree. I also look at it from a path that when it comes to us being mental, it is so brilliant and so fast and quick that we can think of things and create quickly with the drop of a dime. We also hear that bang from when we create in our minds. So as we create something for ourselves or something to produce, there's always a feeling of there will always be a feeling of that this can fail. That's why we put personally, that's why we put rules and regulations and we move the way that we are for a dedication of something or a discipline of something, so we are repetitive with it, so it does not become a task for us, you know. So it's all about training yourself when you create, and a lot of times we can create and not even necessarily know what we're doing. So it's a mindful thing of understanding that when you have an idea or the way that we speak to one another, that we have to remind ourselves that we're disciplined.
could I ask you, this is science of mind that we're doing right now. Would it be like, say, this past Tuesday, I was with a bus driver who knew nothing about Alaska because we're so short on drivers. He didn't know his way around. I didn't know how to guide him, but I ended up telling him, hey, this is going to be a positive day because we're going to call the office and I'll GPS you all over. And it ended up being a good day because I ended up saying to him, we're going to have a positive day, because he was like, I don't know where I'm going. I said, don't worry about it. And it ended up being a good day.
Good. That was beautiful. That's great.
Mhm. Yeah, and I think that that's kind of what T-Man was saying too,
Yes.
is that, you know, you know, when we're creating something and we don't know what we're creating, that gives us room for failure. You know, there's room for failure if we don't know what we're doing. And like Joanne just mentioned that, okay, you know, although he had some fear, not to worry because everything is going to be all right. So, you know, that balanced it out so that, you know, his fear didn't overtake him, make it, and then thus creating a bad day that he was creating. And, you know, Joanne made it so that, okay, it's going to be a good day anyway, because we're going to have, you know, we already have a lifeline out there that can keep us on track. So, you know, I
No.
think that, yeah, I can really see how this law combines so that even when things are, you know, prone to fear and negativity, you know, our outlook, you know, makes it easier to go over or extends it to, you know, I guess what makes it better.
Right. It allows that room for growth. And
Mhm.
it's, how we see things, seeing the glass half full or half empty, and if you see it half full, there's your room for growth. If you see it half empty, that kind of puts a downer, on what you're doing. But as Joanne stated there, by telling this gentleman that it was going to be a good day, that no matter what happened, it was going to be good. It was going to turn out good. Even if they had to do a detour or go around the block a couple of times, it was going to still be good, because that's what the
And we
outlook
did
was,
do that.
she
We
put that
did do them
positiveness
both.
into it.
But he was so glad. He didn't know me, I didn't know him, because my regular driver was out sick. But I could tell, I said, nah, I gotta calm this man down, because we gotta get these kids home. And there's no need in us
Right.
battling with each other.
Mhm.
Right. So
I
you
try
were
to look
seeing
at
the
the
higher self.
positive side of
Mhm.
everything.
Yeah,
But it don't
that's
always
great.
turn out that way, y'all.
Well, that's what leaves room for growth. Sometimes, when we make a mistake, and just as Andre had said, a failure, it leaves room for that failure. But sometimes through that failure or through that mistake, a great amount of growth occurs because a lesson is learned. Everything we do, whether we call it success or failure, is an opportunity for growth. And that's what we're, here to do, is to grow, within ourselves, the way we think and the way we view life and how we do things. And then how we view things determines whether we, maintain a sense of happiness and peace and calmness in whatever we're doing. And just like you helped to calm that man, so that he wouldn't feel as a failure, even though in his mind, he was thinking, I don't know what the heck I'm doing or where the heck I'm going. But she's helping me to realize my, my potential, and that I can do this. Okay, we ready to move on? Okay, the next section is entitled, Look Only at What You Want. Never look at that which you do not wish to experience. No matter what the false condition may be, it must be refuted. The proper kind of a denial is based upon the recognition that in reality, there is no limitation, for mind can only, I'm sorry, let me reread that. There is no limitation, for mind can as easily make a planet as anything else. The infinite knows no difference between $1 million and a penny. It only knows that it is. It would be just as easy to demonstrate $1 million as it would be to demonstrate 10 cents, if the mental concept embodied the idea of $1 million. It is the consciousness back of the word that forms the word. Consciousness means the inner embodiment of an idea through the recognition of truth in a direct relationship to the divine. The greatest teacher who ever lived was the most spiritual man. For the more universal and comprehensive the thought, the more godlike it must become. A good treatment is always filled with the recognition of the presence of God or good. Even in spiritual things, we are still dealing with the law of cause and effect, for God is law. The more exalted the thought, the more heavenly, the more boundless, the more godlike or Christ-like the thought, the more power it will have. This is why the greatest teacher should become the savior. He couldn't help it. A great teacher would have to be a savior. Any comment on that section?
Harriet, you're muted.
Sorry about that. A couple of statements. again stuck out with me. Consciousness means the inner embodiment of an idea through the recognition of truth, a direct relationship to the divine. And that is so true, because when we think about things, when we have things uppermost in our mind, and if it's something that we truly desire, whether it is a state of peace, no matter what it is, when we believe in it, it will occur, it will manifest.
Mhm.
And the second one that stuck out with me was, even in spiritual things, we are still dealing with the law of cause and effect, for God is law. And that, to me, was kind of a revelation, really. I had never thought about it in that way, that God is law. Not consciously anyway, maybe subconsciously. And like I said, those are two of the things in this particular section, that kind of just stuck out with me.
Okay, good. Anyone else?
Well, my thing is just, understanding that things still go through time, because I don't know if anybody knows, but I've been waiting to win the lottery since the lottery started in Virginia, I think like in the early 80s. So I have been waiting to win the lottery since then. And I have not won the lottery yet, And I have won, just a little smithereens, but I'm talking about the big jackpot. So, and I can't say, when you say that if you believe it, then it will happen. Well, yeah, I do believe that it is going to happen, but there is still this concept of time that belief has to either nurture, it has to grow, I have to be consistent in it, so, by saying, there's no difference between 10 cents and $1 million, you have to have a concept of what $1 million is. You have to be able to, because I understand the concept of a dime. I really do. I understand what a dime can do, what a dime cannot do, but I really don't understand the concept of $1 million, because I haven't been acquainted with what $1 million actually is. I might have a dream-like concept or some type of imaginary thing, but $1 million in cold hard cash, I really don't know what that is. So, there is still some, I don't know, maybe disconnect, or still some growth patterns, or I don't know whether it's just caught up in time. But, when I hear stuff like that, and it sounds like it's supposed to be simple, and that this is something that, we are just automatically supposed to just simply agree on and believe, I don't know. I feel, that challenges me a little bit. Because I have not seen it happen. And I do know people who have believed that this thing is going to be healed, and the person died. So, so those things, things like that, if you have to really understand what it is that you're saying, and you have to really understand, and you have to really understand that principle in that law, to that it's not as simple as it reads.
Well, yeah,
That's how I see it.
yeah. Once again, once again, if I may interject, I just see it as a point of view of that not just $1 million, but anything that we would find or see or deem worthy is the same thing as what we have, that we say we know and that we are familiar with. It's no difference in it. Now, of course, I'm not a money person. I really don't like money. But to speak on a point of view of a situation like that is that if there's a need for something or even a want for something, it can be obtainable. It may not be obtainable the way that you would like it, but it is obtainable. You know, a very favorite, one of my favorite MCs. One of my favorite MCs has a line that says, quoting from Nas. He says, "The buck that bought a bottle could have struck the lotto." And one of the very few quotes I argue with him on, like, and I do, because I'm like, okay, that, you know, I spend this dollar on this and I spending my dollar on hope when I know that I had a dream to have a beer today. You know, so it's all in the eye of the beholder on what you see. The way I'm looking at it, it's you know, $1 million, yes, can be beauty in the eye of the beholder of someone who just has a dime. You know, so and vice versa. You know, that dime can look good to that person who has $1 million, even though he don't need that dime. You know, I still want that dime too. You know, so and it's not necessarily just money; it's just material. So it's a very thing, very like beauty is in the, you know, what we want is in the eye of the beholder, just the same as beauty is. I think we
Yeah.
were talking about that yesterday, Penn, when we were talking about shiny objects.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, it's how you see things, and it is, as you know, Andre was saying, and you can correct me if I'm misinterpreting, but it's in that consciousness that you have. And for example, as Penelope, as you were talking about not winning the lotto, I've never played the lotto because I have no
Haven't won it
desire.
yet. Haven't won it yet.
No, I said I haven't. I'm talking about me. I haven't won it and I never will because I don't play it because, you know, I just don't have any desire to do that. On the other hand, I have seen healings taking place where, you know, a person is going through something and they've been praying for a healing, and they may call me or ask me to come over and to do a Reiki treatment. And I tell them, you know, yes, I will. And then they say, well, what are you doing? I say, well, I don't know exactly what I'm doing. I just trust that the energy is coming through. And you just need a physical touch of my hand. You can do this yourself. And they go, oh, no, I don't have that power. And I tell them, you do. You know, it's not something that just I have or just some other Reiki master has. Everybody can do it. It's a matter of just believing that you can do it. And as Penelope, you were saying, it has to do with time, and it does have to do with time. It has to do with when the time is right. And we are in a generation where we want things, you know, fast, you know, fast food, fast this, we don't like to wait in line and all that type of thing. And it's the same way with some people when they want to be healed. They say, well, you know, I've prayed to God about a healing and I'm still not getting it. Well, they expect to get it overnight. And sometimes it doesn't happen because for whatever reason, maybe there's a lesson there to be learned for that individual. Maybe it's patience. Maybe it's the healing is in leaving this world and the
Well,
soul
also,
moving on. Go
what
on,
would you
Andre.
say? Not to cut you off,
No, that's
Dr.
right.
To say would you say that we are, once again, we are prone to see creation in our eyes, so that's why we naturally move faster, as far as you were saying, like we can say that we want something and we can see the tail end of it, but we haven't run that race.
Yeah.
So are we for lack of a better word, do we, when we create, can we trick ourselves into believing that we can achieve certain tasks?
Yeah, and we wanted, you had said it, I think it was you that said it, that, we see it the way we want to see it. And we're not seeing it a different way because we're not aware of seeing it a different way. For example, children will sometimes color grass blue or yellow, and they'll say, this is the grass. And that's how they're sometimes seeing it. As they build logic, they begin to realize that, grass is green to a certain extent. It can be brown depending on the weather and the temperature and everything. But, it's how we've been brought up to see certain things that we don't see it beyond what we've been taught. And I think what Ernest Holmes is saying here is, if we were to believe that everything that happens to us had a cause, we're seeing the effect, but everything that happened to us had a cause, and the cause has to do with what we've been holding in our mind and how we've been seeing divine mind and how it operates and creates, and that divine mind is in each and every single one of us.
Mhm.
That, it's not like in the Wizard of Oz, where the wizard made you think that, he had all the control and all the mind. And at the end, Dorothy finds out that he was just a simple man behind a machine. He wasn't this great mind type of thing. But as we begin to open up and understand that whatever we're experiencing has to do with what we've held in our mind. And we're just the outcome of that. Does that make
Mhm.
any sense to anyone? And that,
Yeah,
I think we've all touched upon it.
yeah, and that's what I was kind of more or less saying, in asking the question that I asked. Um, it's so easy for us to see instant gratification in our mind, as you gave that example of fast food. We want it right now. We want it, we want that Whopper right now, and those French fries right now. And then you get it, and it's not, you got what you wanted, and you got it as fast as you wanted, but you just didn't get it. It's cold, or your French fries are
Right. It
soggy.
didn't tickle your taste buds.
Yeah, it didn't do what you
And that
thought
has to
that
do,
it
I
was
think, with
gonna
what
do.
Penelope was saying about the time. That if we're willing to wait the time, to be patient, and to realize that it'll come when the time is right. Then we begin to feel a sense of fullness, a sense of, like if we waited a little bit longer, then maybe we would have gotten the fries that just came out of the oven, and not the ones that were sitting there waiting to be sold, type of
Yeah.
thing.
So sometimes the idea can go faster than than time, I guess. Just because we have that idea and we created that idea, just for that example, we want a hamburger, and we know how we want it, but we want it right now. Maybe that time is not that, you're not gonna get what you want. Now, if you would have came at 6 o'clock, but you came at rush hour lunchtime, you gonna get what we give you.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
is so
Well,
is
just
that
like, and I don't know, maybe if any of you had this experience, but you go through the drive-through, you give them your order, you get up to the window and you pay them, and then they say, "Oh, your order's not ready. You need to go park over there for a few minutes, and we'll bring it out to you." And there's a part of us sometimes that is like, "Gee whiz," you know? Okay, so you go over there, you park. But when they do bring it out to you, it is nice and hot. It is
Mhm,
fresh, and you realize that wait was worth the wait. On the
mhm,
other
mhm.
hand, we've gone through, we pay, and we get it, and we take that one French fry and it is cold. And we think, geez, I didn't have to wait in line very long, but this is cold, you
Mhm.
know? So it's all, it's all relative. And I think you even mentioned that too, that, you put it out, you put that thought out, and it's relative in how you accept it and how you understand it,
Mhm.
and that's the same thing with the cause and the effect. The effect is, how you see it. If you see it as good, 9 out of 10 times your thought was good. And the way you presented your thought and the way the thought was presented to you and came through you, you thought, well, okay, I'll go with this. And sometimes it's successful, sometimes it's not. But when it's not, if you have that idea that, okay, this is an opportunity for me to try something else. So I'm going to try something else and see if that works. And if you have that sense of it's an opportunity to grow, and each time you do it, whether you succeed or fail, it's how you're looking at it. It determines whether it's been real successful or not. So, anyone else?
That's been my experience, because like I said, and I'm still waiting to win the lottery. I'm still waiting for it to materialize into my my realm of existence, because there's a lot of reasons that I want to win the lottery. I want to have that experience. I want the money. I want the fun of it. I want to be able to see what the money does for people, for myself. There's a lot that that I see with it. But also I have seen what how I have felt when somebody else wins it. Somebody else in
before.
Virginia won it, like 20 years ago. Why did they get it and why didn't I get it? And I had to
Let me ask you.
I'm with you. I'm with you on that, Penn.
I had to adjust.
Yeah.
I
I'm
had to
probably-
adjust what I was feeling, because the main thing that the main reason that I want the money is not just to buy a boat or buy a yacht or to spend it. There's so many things that I know that that can be beneficial. But I also want to be in alignment. I want to be able to say that, because y'all know I want to walk on water. And this is a part of walking on water, because Jesus said, Peter said, somebody said that everybody's hungry out here, and Jesus said, well, go feed them. And Jesus fed them fish and bread, and he didn't wait 35 years for it to happen. It happened right then. And I do know, and so my being in alignment with that sensation and with that power makes a difference. And because I want to be able to do the thing that I say every single time that I say it.
Okay.
Can
Let me
can I-
offer this.
Go
Can
ahead,
I offer this?
let me hear. Harry hadn't said anything in a while, and
No,
he's
I
been
was
kind of
go-
chomping at the bit.
I was going to say, you mentioned earlier that you understand the concept of a dime.
Yeah.
Just and the way I'm looking at it is, if you will transition, I guess may not be the right word, but use that same concept in relationship to the $1 million. You understand the concept of a dime? Now, I understand the concept of $1 million. And also think about, and when you think about it, $1 million, I can do this, this, and this to make my life and those around me and others more comfortable, or whatever word you want to use in that particular instance.
I was going to add to what Harriet has said, is to say that you want the responsibility of having $1 million to then, therefore, to help others And if you're helping yourself
Mhm.
along the same line, but that you want the responsibility.
Oh, yeah.
I see,
Yeah, I mean,
I
all this
see,
stuff I have learned. I have learned through time.
but say the word, say that, because just as Harriet was saying,
But
for you to
I
have
am
the
saying
concept
it.
of a million,
I
but,
am
and also
saying
to
it.
say,
I mean,
don't say I want to help others. I want the responsibility. I
So
want
you
the
saying we gotta
responsibility
say
of helping others.
in order for,
but
because I,
isn't,
I
but
think
it,
like
but,
Penelope,
uh,
I think like you, I want to hit that lottery too. So you are you telling me I need to say, because I mean my thoughts are to help other people,
right.
but I also want to be comfortable. So how should I be thinking?
Yeah,
And
because
is, and also is your
I'm not
subconscious,
saying,
You,
I mean, okay. I'm saying just, it's inferred to me. You might, you might need to hear me say responsibility because that's the thought that came into your mind. But responsibility is already in my mind and already in my heart. So I don't necessarily have to say that because I know what's in my mind and I know what's in my
Yeah.
heart. Because this is
also,
something that I have already worked through. These are the paths that I have already worked through to understand these concepts. And just because I said, I had to know the concept of a dime and the concept of $1 million. I haven't had $1 million in my hand to actually say what that concept feels like, but it doesn't mean that I haven't imagined it already in my mind and in my heart. So these things are already, I mean, the process is already done, with me, but it has taken me a lot of time. And that's what I'm saying, everybody does, when you read the words like that, it says, there's not a difference between a dime and $1 million. It seems as if there are not factors in between that. It seems as if this is something very simple. It's just a process of thought, but we don't, the writings don't lend the space of time for us to understand that there are lessons involved for each and every individual. Somebody, like I said, somebody else won the lottery, that won the Virginia lottery. And I was thinking, well, golly, why did they win it? And I didn't win it. Was my prayer not strong enough? A whole bunch of stuff, but now I understand.
it was their time.
But now I understand that it wasn't time for me at that time. I don't know what happened to that person, when they won the money 20 years ago. I don't know where they are now with it. They might be broke and on the side of the road living on a bridge somewhere. They might be multi-billionaires now. I don't know. And it's not for me to know that. But the thing is that I needed to know at that time where my heart was. My heart still wasn't in a place of gratitude. But now throughout time, it's in a different place. And I think that, and that's all that I was saying, that was what my concept was, is that I think that when you read things and it sounds like it's very simple, it's not always very simple. It might be very simple for one individual, but it's not always very simple for another individual. And that's all I was saying.
Good.
Joanne, you wanted to say something?
No. I understand what you're saying. I'll be like, when is my time gonna come?
No, that's right.
No. I was listening to you. Every word.
Yeah.
Okay, we ready to move on?
Mhm.
Yes.
Okay, the next section, it says a definite plan. So here we go. We will say that there are 4 men, A, B, C, and D. A receives $15 a week. B receives $50. C receives 75, and D 100. Now these 4 are all without positions, and they came, I'm sorry. Now these 4 are all without positions, and they come to a practitioner for mental treatment. The practitioner takes the thought that there is nothing but activity. He neutralizes in his own thought any belief in inactivity and declares that each of these four men is divinely active and occupied. Without question, he has set in motion a law which will respond and will reproduce something for each of these four. We will suppose that his treatment is a good and effective one. They receive it, and consequently, each one of them receives a position. You will find that each does not receive the same compensation. For in all probability, A will receive $15 a week, B $50 a week, C $75, and D $100. But one might say, he spoke the same word for each. Why did they not all receive $100 per week? Because while his word was used for each in a like manner, each could receive only his fill, his mental capacity to comprehend. Each was full and no doubt running over, but the molds which their perceptions of life provided were limited to the subjective remembrance already set in motion by themselves. Each attracted to himself out of the universal good that which he could comprehend. It is the old statement that water will reach its own level by its own weight and without effort. So a treatment will only level itself in the objective world at the level of the subjective thought and realization. This does not mean that each of the above stated men will always have to receive the same compensation, for with an enlarged consciousness, he would receive more. This, I felt, goes back to what you were saying, Penelope, and what Harriet had said about comprehending, and what Andre said about consciousness.
I'm sorry, I didn't mean to giggle while you were reading.
That's okay.
But I know jokes that started off like that.
Oh, A, B, and C. Yeah.
I know jokes that started off like that. So that's why I'm laughing like, okay, yeah, right. Okay. There is a difference on, and I understand that we're reading from an older text, and a text that a lot of these writers had a privilege. I'm going to go ahead and say it, that these writers had a privilege to speak upon.
Oh, you're muted. You're muted.
Excuse me. A lot of knowledge on one end, but did not have a knowledge on the other end, and so to kind of listen to where this situation is going, it's a very monotone point of view. It's a very monetized point of view. It has a lot to do with money. Once again, I said, which everybody needs it. You know, we all need commerce to do what we have to do. Speaking from these texts, he's not speaking from a different point of view. I understand where he's speaking and how he can speak like that, but he's not speaking from a point of view of the person that has the dying. You know, he's not speaking of the people who are currently in his time, in further time of society, that has that just has that dime. So yeah, A, B, C, or D may get this at a certain point in time, but A got it faster, or B or C or D got it faster than everyone else did, even though they're doing the same thing. But the compensation for it is because you are either A, B, C, or D. and you have to work your way. By the time you work your way to a certain situation and a certain point where you come from an A to a B or to a D to a C, or however, whoever was in that spot is already miles ahead of you. Whoever's ideas are already miles ahead of you because you have already been declassified. You've already been classified as either a B or a C before you got to a or a D, or however the hierarchy chooses to move. Very slick the way that he did A, B, C, and D. Very slick, but
Yeah.
um,
The point he was trying to make is that it's at the level of our consciousness.
but if we're
And
speaking
that's what we're going to get.
but if we're speaking consciousness, every man or woman or child is born with the same consciousness.
Mm,
We know hurt, we know pain, we are afraid, we are happy, we are sad, we are anxious, we want, we need. We all have those same similarities in upon us. So for it to be an A, B, C, or D, speaking of consciousness, because you cannot know how to read but be the best, but end up with the key to the city. Many of my generation where I come from has done it. You know, you can, and we were not allowed to do these things at the same time this man's book is being written. So it's a contradiction of consciousness to say that there is a B, C, or D. It's and that's just my opinion. Now, I'm speaking from my opinion.
Well,
Um,
to
can,
add something to what you were saying there, if you look back in history, unfortunately, many of the, and I'm going to use this term, many of the whites at that time were very arrogant and did not realize the blessing that the individuals of color that they scorned had. They did not realize the wisdom that these individuals that they brought over to do their laboring had, whereas the people of color and indigenous people, such as the Native Americans and others, they weren't arrogant. They had a beauty within them that unfortunately the arrogant white people at that time did not have. And they misused the individuals. And, you know, it's sad to say, but it's the truth that the whites at that time, and even some today, are still very arrogant and do not realize that people from different cultures, different backgrounds, different colors, different ways of looking at things have a lot more wisdom that's internal and comes from the heart. The arrogant whites think with their head, unfortunately. But anyway, that's another story. So, but I do know where you're coming from with that, Andre. Anyone else?
Harriet, you had something to say.
it has taken flight.
Well, you know, kind of that, you know, that last passage, it really reminded me of that parable that Jesus talked about the steward. It was, you know, one man was given 10 pieces of silver, another man was given 20 pieces of silver, and they were told to go out. Another person only had one. Then the one went out and got, you know, double their money, and another one went out and, you know, and quartered their money. But the one that had the one, they hid theirs in a hole and said, okay, well, I knew that you were a tough master, and I didn't want to lose your money, so I buried it in the hole so I could at least give you yours back. And Jesus, you know, said that, you know, God just said, or the master, he didn't say God, that the master just, you know, threw him in the pit with the gnashing of teeth. in the war with the gnashing of teeth. And I never understood that before. I said, you know, that just never made sense to me, especially, you know, because we were always kind of taught that the master was God. And, you know, and so you had this, you know, it just continued to have this fear of God. But what Jesus was talking about, it was talking about your level of consciousness. You know, if you're living in a consciousness of fear, then you're just going to always be fearful. You're going to always be thrown into this pit of the gnashing of teeth. You're going to only have this one single dollar that you keep hiding all the time. And you're not even seeing it as your own. You're seeing it as somebody else's, where the other people are, you know, making money off of other people's money, you know, and they are understanding that concept. And that's what he was talking about. He was talking about that level of consciousness of where, first of all, that you have trust in yourself. You have trust in yourself. You have trust in your own abilities. You have trust in the things that you can glean and you can have an understanding of, and that you don't have to only live in fear. And I think that, you know, as we humans, you know, as we learn how to level up in our consciousness from, you know, I don't have to always live in fear. I have been living in fear, but now I can live in the next stage. I can live in a higher stage. I can live in a higher stage. And, you know, we have to always work to ascend to these higher levels, as opposed to just only being at that one level lower, where there's weeping and gnashing of teeth. That's the word. He threw him in the pit where there was weeping and gnashing of teeth. And I said, Jesus Christ. And Jesus could be mean. I can't tell you, Jesus could be show enough tough. I'll tell you, you know.
I see now where my thought flew to. It flew to Penny's head. I just want to add, though, that if that man, and I think it is he also tells us in telling the story, that if the man that only got $1 had taken it and put it in the bank where it could accumulate interest, at least he would have gotten something. But no, what he did was he buried it.
Okay, ready to go on?
Yes.
The next is attraction. Everyone automatically attracts to himself just what he is, and you may set it down that whether you are, however tolerable the situation may be, it is just where you belong. There is no power in the universe but yourself that can get you out of it. Someone may help you on the road to realization, but substantiality and performance can come only through the consciousness of your own life and thought. Man must bring himself to a point where there is no misfortune, no calamity, no accident, no trouble, no confusion, where there is nothing but plenty, peace, power, life, and truth. He should definitely, daily, using his own name, declare the truth about himself, realizing that he is rejecting his statement into consciousness, and that they will be operated upon by it. This is called, in mysticism, high invocation, invoking the divine mind, implanting within it seeds of thought relative to oneself. And this is why some of the teachers of older times used to teach their pupils to cross their hands over their chest and say, wonderful, wonderful. Wonderful one, wonderful me. Definitely teaching them that as they held themselves, so they would be held. Act as though I am and I will be. One of the ancient sayings is that to the man who can perfectly practice in action, all things are possible. This sounds like a contradiction until one gets down to the inner teachings. For it is only when one completely practices inaction that he arrives at the point of the true actor. For he then realizes that the act and the actor are one and the same, that cause and effect are the same, which is simply a different way of saying, know the truth, and the truth shall make you free. To reduce the whole thing to its simplest form, whatever one reflects into mind will be done. Any comments on that? Okay, we'll
Are
move
you
on.
saying inaction is action? Did you say that? Inaction is action?
Yeah. It says here, let me give back to where it is. Yeah, here it is. One of the ancient sayings is that, and I quote, to the man who can perfectly practice inactions, all things are possible. In other words, when we get our humanness out of the way, the divine within us is able to take over.
Oh, okay. Right.
At least that's how I read it. When I first read it, that's how I took it to mean.
So that kind of goes back up to the section where look only at what you want. And he says the presence of God or good. And when I saw that, the first thing that came to my mind is God is just good with one O removed.
Yeah. Anyone else in that section, or do we want to move on? The next section is entitled How to Demonstrate a Home. Suppose you wish to demonstrate a home. Daily looking into mind, visualize it just as you wish it to be, making the picture as clear as possible, for it is a lack of clearness of thought that hinders demonstration. Then sit there about 10 minutes saying, it is, it is, it is. Perhaps thoughts will come in which say, that is not. Pay no attention to such thoughts, but return to your meditation and seeing the picture anew, say again, it is, it is, it is. Use no effort, but simply see the picture very clearly and declare for its presence. Never look for results from treatment, for if you do, you will not find them. This is in accordance with law. For what you look for, you know that you do not have and are only trying to fool yourself into thinking that you do have. Treatment is not a process of hypnotism. It is a process of self-knowing. And if you really know, you will be sure to demonstrate. Treatment is the art, the science, and process of symptomatically inducing within consciousness concepts of definite desires as already accomplished facts and experiences in life. Any comments there?
What I'm seeing there is something that and if I'm not mistaken, I think the author was Shakti Gawan, and she talks about visualization. And one of the things that she encouraged her readers to do was to, first of all, visualize in your mind what it is you want. And then as you're going through magazines, newspapers, books, whatever, just take pictures and take those pictures and post them so that you can see them on a daily basis to help to, I guess, kind of seal whatever it is you desire in your mind. And the more you look
Would that
at
be
it,
like a visualization board?
yes, yes,
Yeah.
exactly.
Okay.
Exactly. And that's what I thought about, you know, when you were reading.
Well, the thing that came to my mind when I first read this was Jesus never said, and you ladies, you read the Bible more than I do, so you can quote me if I'm mistaken, but Jesus never said you will be healed. He said you are healed.
Mhm.
Putting
So-
it in the here and now and not. in
Right.
the
And
future.
even though, you know, even though the individual may not have, you know, affected it then, but he saw it that way. He saw them healed. And just like Joanne, you saw in that individual, that bus driver, that he needed help because he was doubting himself, and you stepped up and you helped him, even though on one hand you weren't quite sure, but you said it's going to be a good day. You
Oh,
didn't say
yes.
it will be a good day. You say it's going to be a good day. In other words, you put that positive thought that today is good, you know, and, you know, I'm here to help you. You didn't tell him that you're there to help, but you just went ahead and helped him,
Yeah.
you know, before he had a chance.
Well, see, my exact words to him when he was being a little grumpy, I say, hey, it's gonna be a positive day for us. You
Right.
know, let's call the office, see if because they don't want us using the phones no more on the bus, you know. And I said, and see if they'll let me use your phone and I'll GPS wherever you need to go. Even though he still turned where he wanted to a few times, I overlooked that, you know, and we ended up having a good day.
Good. Andre, Penelope, either one of you have anything?
Mm-mm. Yeah, I think Andre.
Well, I think that's something that we should all study if we have a goal and we want a certain type of way, that we do have to tell ourselves that we can do it. That I think right now that's one of the greatest things that's been said since, you know, as far as what we were speaking of, is to believe in yourself.
Mhm.
And, you know, and understand yourself. Understand that this creation that we're creating is not going to be an easy task just because you saw the fireworks at the end in your mind. You saw you saw yourself winning the lottery. You saw yourself having, you know, a new car. You saw yourself with a new, you know, a husband, or, you know, or a wife, or anything, you know. It's easy for us to see those things in our mind and complete them versus to do them physically. So while we're doing this, so it's mindfulness to while we're doing them physically, to remind yourself that you are doing a good job. You know, it's very easy for us to forget that, to tell ourselves that we're doing a good job, because we're waiting for someone to tell us that. We're waiting for another individual to tell us that we're doing a good job, instead of just doing the things that we know that comes natural. As you were speaking, Miss Joe, you know, he didn't know where he was going. He's frustrated. You kind of know where you're going. You like, look, baby, you know, and it's hard to sometimes let people take control.
Oh, yeah.
And guide you,
Yeah.
you know, because I should know this. You know, I should be able to do this, but I'm confused because, you know, when I first took my trial, you know, it was leaves on the street. Now I'm in snow everywhere. I really don't know where I'm going.
Yeah. And then
You
this was a
know,
gentleman that they flew him up here from Spokane. He didn't know he didn't know the area, period. But
yeah.
doesn't this really go to life, that the statement you just made, doctor, is that life is about the ups and downs. And it's a matter how we embrace it. You know,
Yeah.
I used to get real rattled. I think I started getting out of that. That being so in a ball and, you know, knotted up. Now I take life with, hey, it is what it is. I can't change it. You know, we're gonna have our good days and bad days, because the way society present that we're supposed to be just happy, la, 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 every day. And that's not life.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah,
And I
it's
think
how we
that's what that
see,
was talking
it's how
about.
we see it. You know, life is going to be what it is, but it's how we see it
Yeah. Yeah.
determines how it's going to affect us, you know?
Yeah.
Mhm.
And I think all of us, you know, are doing that. You know, we may not always be aware that we're doing it, but we are. You know, we're all taking it as it comes. We're all seeing, and I could be incorrect, but I think we all see the glass half full, and that, you know, we're constantly moving forward. And maybe like the inchworm, inch by inch,
Mm. There
as
you go.
opposed to the jaguar that moves fast, you know, over land. But it makes no difference as long as we're constantly moving forward. We're constantly growing. And as Penelope had mentioned, you know, time is, on one hand, is irrelevant, but everything takes a moment. It takes time. And, you know, we may not all be at the same place and having the same occurrence, but it may not be our time to do that. You know, just like when somebody passes, you may have two people that are seriously ill, and, you know, one recovers and one passes, but it was the one who passed, it was their time. You know, it was their time for them to move on. Because maybe, you know, maybe they were really further along the path and it was their time to move on, whereas the other person wasn't as far along on the path, you know, or maybe they were needed a little bit more in the physical in order to help others and help themselves, where the other person had finished whatever mission, you know, they had been given to do in this world, you know. And so that's another way of looking at it. But it's all relative, and it's all, as Andre was saying, about consciousness and comprehending. So each one of us is, you know, is sharing, because each one of us is teaching each other and helping each other to learn and to grow. And that's why it's so important when I stop and ask if there's any comments or anybody has anything to share. It's because I feel that there's some message coming from you that I need to hear, or that somebody else needs to hear. And that's the important thing in life, is for us to share that with each other and those that we come across. Anyone else? Are we ready to move on?
Mhm.
This next section is entitled Resist Not. I'm going to read these next two sections together because they're both short. This section is entitled Resist Not. When Jesus said, resist not evil, he meant that non-recognition of evil is the only way to avoid it. This is true according to the law of cause and effect. For what we persist in recognizing, we persist in holding in place. That which we not recognize, we neutralize, and it is no longer there, so far as we are concerned. In making a demonstration, don't try to demonstrate, for demonstrations are not made through effort, because this would contradict one of the fundamental principles of the universe, which is the self-existence of causation. In other words, nothing can come before that which is. Consequently, everything must come out of that which is, and within that which is the inherent possibility of that which is to be. All things exist as a potentiality, as a possibility now. I am Alpha and Omega. Try to get a recognition of your desire and pass the whole thing over to mind and let it operate. Just know that the desire is already a fact, and quietly say to yourself as often as the thought comes into mind, it is done. The lighter the thought is, the less care or worry over it, the better. The best work is done when the element of struggle is entirely left out. Healing misunderstanding. Suppose one says, I have had a terrible misunderstanding with a friend of mine, and it has come to a point where we do not even speak to each other. What is the fundamental error which has brought about the condition. A lack of the realization of the unity of all life, a belief in duality. Destroy this belief in duality. Recognize that there is but one mind. See God in each, and the trouble will be healed. We all live in the one mind of God. Any comments on either one of those sections?
Well,
Andre, I think you're muted. There you
yeah,
go.
there we go. I really that was pretty heavy because it is that reminder of everything that we kind of talked about, that we've been talking about today, that it is that reminder, whether we saw it one way or another, that these are the things that are make us who we are. These are the cause and consequences, which I do believe that is our main focus. You know, with every cause, there is a consequence. And being and looking at it from that point of view, to see it that you can do and make and have the free will to make a decision. That decision is yours, and it's only a right or wrong decision when you feel that you are wrong versus feeling that you are right. So and that's kind of the judgment within you, and in the way that you see yourself, which is your real judge, jury, and executioner, which is yourself. So it just depends on how you see things and how you interpret and use these tools that we're discussing today to navigate through the time that, as Penn was talking about, to navigate through the times in these moments that we are dealing with. So that one, I really enjoyed that, those two. I really did.
Okay, thank you, Andre. That was good. Anyone else? Okay, ready to move on? This next section is entitled Fate. If one believes in fate, he must be healed of this thought, for there is no such thing as fate. If one believes that planetary forces have anything to do with life, he must be healed of this thought. Break down everything except the recognition of the one perfect power, which is not contingent upon any place, person, condition, time of year, or anything but itself. A demonstration is made when it comes through straight from the truth. The one who wishes to make a demonstration must first clear up his own subjective atmosphere. The reason being that he may be objectively making statements which his subjective thought may be denying. In this way, we often neutralize our word as fast as it is spoken. A treatment is scientific in that it is the act of inducing into subjectivity ideas which neutralize false images of thought and which let the truth come through into expression. The reason that we need such a science is that we do not have a perfect faith. For if we had a perfect faith, we would have washed clean the subjective thought, and no doubts would be there. Until the time comes when one can say to the sick, get up and walk, and have them do so, or say, there is money, and have it appear, it must take the process of inducing thought for the purpose of accumulating a subjective belief in the things which he desires. This belief, as soon as it is complete, is the demonstration. The demonstration takes place within and not without. Any comment there? Okay. Attraction of personality. One might say, I have no personality with which to attract people. There is but one person. This person is manifested through every living soul. It is radiant, vibrant, dynamic. It is the personality. It is complete. It is. It is. The ones to whom we are the most strongly attracted are not necessarily the ones who are the most beautiful physically, but are the ones from which we receive that subtle emanation, that something. What is that something? It is not that which shows, but that which floats through from within. It is the inner recognition of reality.
What that is saying to me is that whatever you say, whatever you do, when it comes from the heart, you don't have to say anything. In other words, you don't have to recognize it using words. It just is, and everybody will see it. I remember I never have had the desire or the inclination to be a teacher as such. That is someone who stands in front of a classroom of students and spews out information to them. But my last position, in a sense, I was a teacher, but my classroom changed every day. I never saw the same students from one day to the next, or from January 1st to December 31st. And I enjoyed it. And I had so many people tell me, as I was giving out the information that I had to give them at the time, they would say to me, you really enjoy your work, don't you? I said, yes, I do. So, and to me, when something is coming from the heart, people know it, they feel it. And you don't have to tell them, because they do know it. It's just there. It's that aura that surrounds you, that they're feeling, that they're seeing.
Yeah, to me, when it's seeing that divine energy, the source, the creator, seeing whatever you want to call it, but seeing that in each and every single person, place, and thing. And it's just seeing that oneness coming out, of whoever you happen to be with, and seeing that, and you experience that divineness, that beautiful nature, that oneness. Anyone else? Okay. This next section is entitled See Life Expressed. One should analyze himself, saying, do I look at myself from a standpoint of restriction? Do I see life as limited to the eternal round of getting up in the morning, eating, going to work, coming home, going to bed, sleeping, getting up again, and so on? Break the bonds of necessity and see life as one continuous expression of the infinite self. And as this conception gradually draws upon the inner thought, something will happen in the outer conditions to let up on the greater demands of the law of necessity. If one were doing the work he should be doing, he would never become tired, because the energy which holds the universe in place is tireless. The reason why we become tired is that we have cross currents of thought over our work. This arises from a belief in duality. A treatment is the scientific act of inducing concepts in mind, which operates upon them and manifests them in external affairs, just as the picture is held up subjectively. During the process, we meet, contact, neutralize, and erase any and all opposing mental forces or conditions which deny our greater good. Never limit your view of life by what you or anyone else has ever accomplished. The possibility of life is inherent within the capacity to imagine what life is, backed by the power to produce this imagery or divine imagination. It is not a question of failing or of succeeding. It is simply a question of sticking to an idea until it becomes a tangible reality. The illusion is in the way that we look at things. We have looked at some things and they have looked evil to us. We must look at them until they look good. We have looked at someone and he has looked sick to us. We must look at him until he looks well. We have seen discord. We must see harmony. Look at harmony and people will become harmonious. We have looked at poverty, degradation, and misery until they have assumed a gigantic form. Now we must look at harmony, happiness, plenty, prosperity, peace, and right action until it appears. Any comment? Look to the ultimate. In treating, we conceive of the ultimate of the idea, but never of the process. Never treat a process. Never look for one. We plant a seed, and there is in that seed, operating through the creative soil, everything that is going to happen until it comes up, unfolds, and produces a plant. The ultimate of effect is already potential in cause. This is the mystical meaning of those words. I am Alpha and Omega. Our word should be the Alpha and the Omega, the beginning and the end of the thing thought of. All cause and effect are in spirit. Cause and effect are bound together into one complete whole. One is the inside and the other is the outside of the same thing. Once you have driven the peg into the ground, stick to it. Never let anything cause you to doubt your ability to demonstrate the truth. Conceive of your word as being the thing. See the desire as an already accomplished fact and rest in perfect confidence, peace, and certainty, never looking for results, never wondering, never becoming anxious, never being hurried nor worried. Those who do not understand this attitude will think that you are inactive, but remember, to him who can perfectly practice in action, all things are possible. Any comments there? You're muted again.
Can you explain that last sentence? To him who can perfectly practice in action, all things are possible. I don't get it.
It's holding in mind what it is that you want and not necessarily acting upon it in the physical sense, but holding it in mind. In other words, your physical body and your physical doing type of thing doesn't take any kind of effect. You don't have to be actively doing it. But you hold it in your mind is where the
Right.
action is.
Yeah, and of course, anything that is eventually manifest begins in the mind. And
Right. And
what
sometimes
you're
when
saying,
we act,
no, I was going to say, and sometimes when you think about something, just think about it. Yes, I want that, or yes, I wish that to happen, or whatever the situation might be, and then let it go, and it will happen.
it's and because sometimes when we actively try to act upon something, we get in the way. our humanness gets in the way of it.
Mhm.
And Joanne's a perfect example of, she saw a need in this particular individual, and she saw that she was able to help, and she just went for it. She didn't bother to doubt herself in being able to do it, even though I think, and Joanne, you can correct me, I think you said you weren't sure where some of the roads were either, but you knew how to go about finding them,
Correct,
and how
correct.
to go about and help him. And by
To
doing
find them.
that, you helped to
Mhm.
build up his confidence,
Yeah,
because you
but you
showed
was
him how
right.
confident you were.
You're right. You're 100% correct. I knew how to get there, but I knew by buildings, by sight, and we would be all day trying to get those kids home, So
Mhm.
I said, hey, well, I can GPS it. That's the nice thing about a phone now. Anywhere you want to go, you can GPS it if you get lost.
Yeah.
Is that your granddaughter, Penelope? That's your granddaughter?
Yeah, this is my granddaughter, Derica.
So
She's
cute.
good. She's gorgeous.
Hi.
She's not feeling good today. She has a
Yeah,
little
I
Aw.
tell
cold.
her I know how she feel. She
Yeah, she got a little cold.
hope
She's
she
not
feel
feeling
better.
good. She looking so cute.
She is. She's gorgeous.
Anyone else have a comment on that section? Another thing that just came to my mind to remember, where it says here to look to the ultimate, is to remember that the ultimate is in each and every single one of us. It's not outside of ourselves, it's within us. And by holding that idea, allows it to manifest more and more through us, and enables us to do what needs to be done without really necessarily doing anything, but by holding that thought.
Can I ask a question? When we think of something that we wish to occur or receive or whatever the situation might be, if we let our thoughts dwell on it, is that kind of a roadblock to keep whatever it is that we wish to happen from happening or occurring?
I think
And that,
so,
yeah. Okay.
because our thoughts are like things, and we draw to us whatever it is we're putting out there. And if we become
Obsessed?
worried about something, I'm gonna use myself as an example. I found out that, how much it was gonna cost to do the taxes this year, and my son not working, I have to pay his along with mine. And, I knew what the amount is, and I looked at it and I said, well, I don't have this. All of a sudden I had several people call about classes, getting new students. And I didn't tell anybody, that I needed X amount of money, but all of a sudden people started calling and saying they wanted to take lessons and that. And so by the time April comes, I will have, the money I need, and yet if I would have continued to worry about it, I don't think that would have happened. I think I would have been a stumbling block to that. But by saying, okay, I know I need this, taxes have to be done by April 15th, it'll be there, and it's going to be, so I think that we do. And that's why I said with that line of the inaction, when we try physically ourselves to do something, we get in the way and we become the stumbling blocks,
Right.
or we set in the doubt.
And every time I hear stories like that or situations like that, the first thing that comes to my mind is that scene from Miracle on 34th Street, in which the little girl, I forget her name, They're sitting in the back seat of the car as they're leaving the nursing home or the home for the aged out on Long Island. And she's sitting in the back of the seat. I believe, I believe, I believe. And then all of a sudden she tells the man that's driving the car, stop, because she sees the house and it's a picture, you know, of the one she had given to Santa Claus earlier. That was what she wanted for Christmas.
Yeah. Many times, some of these one-liners that are in a movie, you know, help us a great deal to understand certain things. I have in my mind the in the movie The Color Purple, where Whoopi, I don't remember what her name was in the movie, but the part that she played, and she's sitting there in that chair, and I think the chair's in the kitchen, and she's just reading the Bible, and she doesn't really say anything that I remember her saying, but the strength that she had to endure what she endured, you know, in that movie, the wisdom that was there, you know, and that sort of stands out in my mind as the idea of, you know, inaction brings about the possible. Anyone else? This next section is entitled No
Okay, well, it's
Mistakes.
3:41, so you want this to
Oh,
just be
okay.
the last section?
We can stop there.
Oh,
Um,
okay.
No,
Well, I mean,
there's more sections, so we can stop there and do a round table and announcements
Okay.
and stuff.
okay, because I didn't know how long the section was. Because I was gonna say if you want just that to be your last section that you read, is it long or?
No, that section's not very long. It's just a couple of paragraphs. If you want me to do
Okay,
that,
well,
and
if
then
you
we
wanna
can
read it,
stop.
because it's you know, it's just 3:41, so.
Okay, all right. We'll do that one and then go on. Anyway, like I said, this is no mistakes. In mental work, we must realize that there is one infinite mind, which is consciously directing our destiny. Declare every day that no mistakes have been made, none are being made, and none can be made. Declare there is one supreme intelligence which governs, guides, and guards, tells me what to do, when to act, and how to act. Then act with perfect assurance. Declare everything necessary let me read that. Everything necessary to the full and complete expression of the most boundless experience, joy, in life. Everything is now. Know this, see it, feel it, and be it. Do this every day for a few minutes. We should all do this until the time comes when it will no longer be necessary. When the time comes, we will know it because our demonstrations will have been made. Suppose one says, I have made a lot of mistakes in my life. I had opportunities which I did not grasp. This is a direct belief that there is but one opportunity which comes to man. And if he does not take it, he will have no more. This is a belief in limited opportunities, and it must be denied completely and specifically. We exist in limitless opportunities, which are forever seeking expression through us and are expressed in and through us. Know that there is no condemnation, for nothing can condemn unless we believe in condemnation. Destroy the thoughts that would lay limitation or bondage upon any situation or condition. Loose him and let him go. Talk to yourself, not to the world. There is no one to talk to but yourself, for all experiences take place within. Conditions are the reflections of our own meditations and nothing else. There is but one mind to think, but one thing that it can think. That mind is our mind now. It never thinks confusion. It knows what it wishes and how to accomplish what it desires. It is what it desires. Any comment?
That section, no mistakes. To me, it just fits right in with the concept behind A Course in Miracles. Although this section says no mistakes, the Course in Miracles says that what we do is make mistakes. We don't sin, but we make mistakes. And when we ask forgiveness, those mistakes are forgiven. And that's what, to me, that's what this section is telling us.
Okay. Anyone else?
Yeah, I think that section, right there, was telling, it's really how we perceive a thing. If we perceive it as a mistake or something that we can't overcome, or, is causing us a limitation, and it could be just that's the way we were raised. Because I think that, I don't know, I think that most people were raised to believe not to necessarily be harmed. I don't think that most of the people that I know anyway, let me just put it like that. Most people I know weren't necessarily raised to be harmed. They might have been raised by people who were trying to tell them their thoughts so that they believe like them, but they didn't really want them to be harmed. But we never know where somebody else's trauma is and how somebody else's perception may cause trauma. So I think that section there, when it's telling us that you really can't make a mistake, that everything is really how you choose to believe a thing. It's how you choose to believe this thing is going to be valuable to you or beneficial to you, and how you can learn how to live within that confine of whatever it is that you believe. But you don't have to necessarily think that something is causing you harm, so I think that for because that's really what I think, that when we see mistakes, we kind of see mistakes as harmful, and they're not necessarily harmful. They're stuff that we can learn how to build on. We can learn lessons from. We can choose to self-correct or correct within within that confines of whatever the mistake, what we saw as the mistake was, and we can grow, and we can grow to fullness from there. And for us, not to have any fear, not to be afraid, not to be afraid of the mistake, or to be adventurous in wherever our path may lead.
I agree with you. And it's also seeing whatever we may have termed as a mistake, to see it as an opportunity opportunity for growth, an opportunity to learn. I learned in school that they were talking about electricity, and they said that Thomas Edison made 720 mistakes until he finally came up with the light bulb. And I remember saying, well, he saw a potential of a light bulb, and so therefore he tried and tried and tried, and he showed us not, to never give up. you know, and that's the same thing, I think, with our consciousness, to be aware that in never giving up, we are always seeing the opportunity within the mistake, or what we saw as a mistake or thought was a mistake. Anyone else?
I was just looking at that second paragraph. Suppose one says, I have made a lot of mistakes in my life. I had opportunities which I did not grasp. This is a direct belief that there is but one opportunity which comes to man, and if he does not take it, he will have no more. And I mean, every mistake that we make, it gives us an opportunity to reflect, grow, and become better at whatever it is that we made that in whatever that situation was that caused us to make that mistake.
Mhm.
So, and I think we have opportunities every day.
Mhm.
Sometimes
Every day.
we recognize them, sometimes we don't.
Yep. Anyone else? Thank you, Harriet. Okay, Penelope, do you want to take over? And we can stop there.
Okay, well, yeah, that's a great place. And this was really an interesting class, simply because I like a science of mind, because it really gives us like a pattern of, how to think and how not to think, and where our thoughts are, and that is all about, it's all on the inside of us. And it's through, and it's not something that we have to do, to appease something on the outside, but how to be fulfilled from within. And this is what, so this is, starting off the round table. I guess that is me. That's what I'm kind of getting from this class today, is that, how to understand self-fulfillment, how to understand how full of that God self that we are, and how to allow its expression to come through this body, this personality, how it shines through here. And that's why so what I think that how I can apply this to my life, I really like that part about inactivity. And it's really, means like, be anxious. Don't be anxious for anything. Allow yourself to always be at peace. Allow yourself to always be calm. Allow yourself just to simply know that, if I have the thought, the thought came to me, it's for me. And if it's for me, it's going to manifest itself at some point in time. And so I think that that's the thing that I will continue to practice, is that inaction, because that's, to me, is trust.
Mhm.
Would anyone else
Okay.
like to would anyone else like to go next?
I can.
I'll go next.
Okay, go ahead.
What I got out of it, right, is that try to live your life in peace, and what's going to be is going to be.
Mhm.
We can't stop it, and what's ever meant for us, I can wish for that $1 million lottery every day. It's
Mhm.
not coming unless it's meant for me.
Mhm.
So I think this here today's subject was good. I ain't feeling my best. That's why I've been really quiet, doctor, so you know. But I'm glad I came on today with you ladies. That's it.
And glad to have
Thank
you
you.
aboard. We're always glad when you come.
Thank you. Thank
Always
you.
glad when you're here.
Like your energy.
Oh, I love it. I love y'all energy. Y'all build me up. I ain't feeling that great, but Hey, I'm laying right here in the bed. That's why y'all can't see me. But I feel better just listening to y'all,
Uh,
express different things because I learned. Just because I'm 73 and I might be older than some of y'all, but I don't know everything. This
You're the
mind
same
is
age.
always open. Okay,
We're
I
the
didn't
same
know that.
age.
All
Yeah.
right, all
I'll be
right,
74 pretty soon.
all right. We blessed to still be here in our
Yes,
right
Yeah.
mind.
best
Yeah.
believe that. How about you, Harriet?
Um, I went back to look to see what the lesson was supposed to be, and it's control of condition. And control of conditions, it all starts in the mind. And it's something that I am learning little by little, something that I probably hadn't realized before I began this intense study. And I just find it fascinating. And I'm really enjoying this study of the science of the mind because it tells me that the universe, the creator within me is what is really in control of situations. And whatever it is I want to do, whatever it is I want to manifest, all I have to do is believe and call on that inner strength that the creator has given me or that is living within me. And life will and always can be beautiful.
Mhm. Mhm.
Thank you.
Thank
Thank
you.
you.
How about you, Sakina?
Well, for me, science of mind is food for thought. And each little section, as many times as I've read this book, each little section is always another, morsel of food for thought. And it's seeing, to me, it's seeing the God within each one of us, our higher being. And the more we express and share that higher being, the more our humanness sort of fades into the background and we allow it to flow through us. So I'm very grateful for each one of you and grateful that we're doing this because some of the insights that some of you have shared with me is very good, and it's just fulfills my appetite, so to speak. So that's how I kind of see this.
Oh,
Thank
thank
you.
you. Yeah. And I like it that, we're from all different parts of the country and we all see things predominantly the same way. We come from different backgrounds, different spaces and time, and we're all seeing um this spiritual journey in kind of like the same way. And that is really beneficial when when we think that nobody we're never alone. There's always someone that we can bounce our ideas off of, somebody we can bounce our thoughts off of, and we can and we don't have to feel separated from anything or anybody, because this is the thing that makes us whole. And I really
Yeah,
appreciate
I
We're
that.
all
like
one.
that. When you said spiritual journey, it's a beautiful journey.
Yes.
When you apply yourself, and regardless of what you're going to have those days you cry, but you wake up with joy in the morning. You're
Hmm.
going to go through changes, but I was telling Harry earlier, while we was waiting for you and the doctor to come back, is that hey, I put on my armor around my soul and my spirit just to go out in the world every day.
Hmm.
I wear armor. I don't mean I walk around with fear, but to cover my heart and say, like say somebody crossed me the road. Oh Lord, no, I'm not even gonna go that way. That didn't even happen,
Mhm.
Joanne. You know what I'm saying? And it's a good
Yes.
thing, because I'm gonna tell y'all, the old Joanne to be, I was ready to kick up some cane, some sand, you know. And I'm glad I say to myself in the morning, good morning, Joanne. How you doing, girl? You're looking rough this morning. Come on, put a smile on your face. We do have to build ourselves up. And what you said is good to know. Sometimes you know that prayer helps. I don't just pray for myself. There's so much going on with the earthquake. So much is happening. We had here in the United States chemical spills and whatnot, you know, and you gotta pray for everybody.
Mhm.
And it takes you away from your own worries that you're going through. It distracts you. Because you know, we all need to stand in prayer. I didn't know how important that was, but prayer means a lot. It takes me over the hump. I'm like you, Doc. I can't quote the Bible, but I'm very spiritual. Gentleman told me he see the light in me. I said, what damn light? Excuse me, y'all. I didn't know where he was
That's
coming.
fine.
You know, he says, I see the light in you. I said, well, I don't see it shining. But once he explained, he said, just my attitude. Then I didn't know where he was coming from. But that's it, ladies. I'm glad to be a part of this. I always tell you that.
Yeah, we're
glad to have you.
too. Yeah, absolutely.
Thank
That's it,
you.
bread and butter.
Yep.
That's it for today. Now, on Wednesday, we have A Course in Miracles. That's from 5 to 6:30. Thursday, we have
Wait, go back. On Wednesday, you said what? I didn't mean to cut you off. Yeah, but
we
what?
have.
Because I'll be home. They don't have no school up here Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday.
Oh, okay, fantastic. Well, at 5 o'clock our time, which will be what, 2 o'clock your time, 3 o'clock?
Yeah, it would be 2 my time. That's why I was counting backwards. Yes,
Right.
it would
Yeah.
be 2.
Okay. Yeah. So we have A Course in
Let me mark
Miracles.
that down.
Okay. And I'll make sure I'll send you a link. Yeah, to A Course in
Okay,
Miracles.
this will be this Wednesday, right?
This Wednesday. Yes, ma'am.
Okay, I just wrote it down. Okay.
From 5 to 6:30. And on Thursday, we have Introduction to Gnosis from 7 p.m. our time, Eastern Standard Time, to 8:30, 7 to 8:30.
8:30.
Thursday, yeah. And then and on Saturday, we're gonna have Inner Haven Day. Yay, I'm so excited. 7 years for us. 7 years for Inner Haven. So I'm so excited. And that's gonna be at Sandra's house. However, Joanne, we will be doing a hybrid session. So we will still be on, we still will be on Zoom.
Okay.
So, and we're gonna start at 1 p.m. instead of 2 p.m. So
just send me the links.
I'll send you the link.
And guess what? You say this is 7 years. You know they say number 7 is good luck. So maybe this is your year.
Yes, yes. This is year number 7 for us. And so exciting. Yes, yes, yes.
So how long have I been with y'all?
You've been with us maybe 2 years? I'm thinking 2
Okay,
years.
I thought so. Wow.
Yeah.
My son introduced
maybe 3, because I think you came
No,
in.
I think 2, because the baby wasn't born. That's why y'all don't see Norman. That baby be working him. Okay. I love it.
Well, it's been more than 2 years, because Joanne was with you before I came on, or before.
And how long you been?
It's been a little over 2 years.
All right.
it's
Well, then I
longer
think
than
I'm right along. I'm right along with you, Harry. Not too far ahead.
Yeah, because I'm thinking that because we really started on online in 2020 for the pandemic. Yeah.
Okay.
So,
Oh yeah, you sure did.
yeah. Yeah, we were, because we always met in my home, and now we're, now we're basically, doing it virtual. So we really started the virtual online in 2020 during the
2020.
pandemic. So,
Mhm.
and you know, we're still here and we're still meeting with people and people and we're still growing. And that's the thing that's important, is that we're still growing, we're still learning how to articulate what it is that we believe. We're still,
Mhm.
and this is I believe who we're supposed to be.
There
Well,
you
that's it
go.
Yeah.
for today, and we
Wait a
will.
minute, hold on.
okay.
Announcement.
Oh yes, go ahead.
We are now on YouTube, and all of our sessions are being put on YouTube, so you can access the sessions. And if you go on YouTube and look for Inner Haven, it's a little green circle with a white eye in the middle, and that's us. And when you go on and you listen to our sessions, just subscribe, like, and comment.
And this is YouTube?
Yeah, on
Yes.
YouTube.
Okay, go ahead. All right. I'll be
Yeah.
listening. Thank you for telling me.
All right, thank you. And Harriet is the one who actually convinced me, helped me set it up, and
Uh-huh.
so so we're in the future,
All right, so
y'all.
I'm gonna be watching what I say from now on. Okay.
Oh, they
We're in the future, y'all.
monitor what we say, and if
Okay.
they'll let us know if something is not.
All right. All right, ladies.
Oh, sure.
Hopefully I'll see you all Wednesday. Y'all enjoy
Well,
the rest of the
Joanne, would
week.
you like
Stay blessed.
to pray us out?
Yeah, Heavenly Father, I thank you for all of us coming together. You know, this is very productive for everybody. Andre's T-Man is gone, right? But
Mhm.
whatever we do through the rest of the week, Lord, you know, let us teach us to do it with peace and love. Amen. Y'all know I
Amen.
makes it short and sweet. Have a
Short
good
and sweet,
day.
that's all we need. All right,
Bless
then,
you.
darling.
Love y'all.
Love you.
Bless you,
Love
Joanne.
you.
Bless you too, all of you. Bye-bye.
All righty.
Bye, love
Goodbye.
you.
Love you.